So, welcome to the mini story for the race. Let's get started. It was 5 o'clock, and Alan was riding his motorcycle in San Francisco. When was Alan riding his motorcycle?
At 5 o'clock, Alan was riding his motorcycle in San Francisco.
At 5 o'clock, Alan was riding his motorcycle. Was Alan riding his car? Or was Alan riding his motorcycle? Well, of course, Alan was riding his motorcycle. Where was Alan riding his motorcycle?
In San Francisco, Alan was
Francisco.
riding his motorcycle.
Alan was riding his motorcycle in San Francisco. When was he riding? At 5 o'clock.
Alan
At 5 o'clock, Alan was riding his motorcycle in San Francisco. He was riding down Van Ness Street and came to a stoplight. Who was riding down Van Ness Street?
Alan was riding down Van Ness Street.
Alan was riding down Van Ness Street. What was he riding on? On a motorcycle. He was riding on his motorcycle. Was he riding
Alan was riding
down
Van Ness
Market Street?
His motorcycle.
No, not Market Street. He wasn't riding down Market Street. Was he riding down Lombard Street?
No, Alan was riding down Van Ness Street.
He wasn't riding down Lombard Street. He was riding down Van Ness Street. When was he riding down Van Ness Street?
At 5 o'clock, Alan was riding down Van Ness Street.
At 5 o'clock, he was riding down Van Ness Street. Who was riding down Van Ness Street at 5 o'clock?
Alan was riding down Van Ness Street at 5 o'clock.
Alan was riding down Van Ness Street at 5 o'clock. Was he in a truck?
No, he was in a truck.
He wasn't
on his motorcycle,
in a truck.
and he
was
came to a stoplight.
His motorcycle. And he came to a stoplight. Did Alan come to a go light?
No, Alan did come to a go light.
He didn't come to a go light.
He came to a stoplight.
To a stoplight. We never say go light. We only say stoplight. Who came to a stoplight?
Alan came to a stoplight.
Alan, of course. Alan came to a stoplight. What was he on when he came to a stoplight?
He was on a motorcycle. When he came to a stoplight.
He was on a motorcycle when he came to a stoplight. Where was the stoplight?
On the stoplight
on Van Ness Street.
Van Ness Street.
The stoplight was on
Van
Van Ness Street. Was the stoplight on Embarcadero Street? Or was the stoplight on Van Ness Street?
The stoplight was on Van Ness Street.
Van Ness, of course, Van Ness. The stoplight was on Van Ness Street. Who was at the stoplight?
Alan was at the stoplight.
Alan was at the stoplight. Which city was Alan in? In San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
Of course.
Alan's were in San Francisco.
Alan was in San Francisco. Where is Van Ness? Well, Van Ness Street,
Van Ness Street in
is
San Francisco.
in San Francisco. Of course. Van Ness Street is in San Francisco. Is Van Ness Street in New York? Or is Van Ness Street in San Francisco?
Van Ness Street is in San Francisco.
Well, of course, Van Ness Street is in San Francisco. Where was Alan riding?
Alan's were riding Van Ness Street in San Francisco.
He was riding on Van Ness Street in San Francisco. And he came to a stoplight. A red Ferrari pulled up next to him. Did the red Ferrari pull up behind him?
No, the red Ferrari
No,
not
behind him. The red Ferrari pulled up next to him. What pulled up next to Alan?
A red Ferrari pulled up next to him.
A red Ferrari. A red Ferrari pulled up next to Alan. Did Alan pull up next to a red Ferrari?
No, Alan didn't pull up.
No.
Next to,
Alan didn't pull up next to a red Ferrari. A red Ferrari pulled up next to him. Where did the red Ferrari pull up next to Alan?
At a stoplight on Van Ness Street.
At a
A red Ferrari
stoplight
pulled up next to Alan.
on Van Ness Street. At a stoplight on Van Ness Street, a red Ferrari pulled up next to Alan. Was Alan in a red Ferrari?
Alan wasn't
No.
in a red Ferrari.
Alan wasn't
He
in
was
a
on
red Ferrari.
motorcycle.
He was on a motorcycle. Alan was on a motorcycle. What did the red Ferrari do?
The red Ferrari pulled up next to Alan.
Well, it pulled up next to Alan. The red Ferrari pulled up next to Alan. The driver was wearing dark sunglasses. So, Alan was wearing dark sunglasses.
No, Alan's wasn't
No,
wearing dark
not
sunglasses.
Alan. Alan wasn't wearing dark sunglasses. Who was wearing dark sunglasses?
The driver's dress.
The driver of the Ferrari.
Dark sunglasses.
The driver of the Ferrari was wearing dark sunglasses, not Alan. The driver looked over at Alan.
No, he's looked over
Did the
at
driver look behind Alan? No. He looked over at Alan. Who looked over at Alan?
The driver's
The driver of the Ferrari looked over at Alan. Did Alan look over at the driver?
Yes, Alan's also looked.
Yes, he did.
Looked
Alan also looked over at the driver.
Red Ferrari.
Who was the driver?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise! Tom Cruise
The driver is Tom
was
Cruise.
the driver. Alan looked over at the